If you guys clicked on this video, I'm glad my girl's gorgeous eggs drew you in. I'd like to take some time to discuss today how we got these different colors and explain a little bit of the science behind how all these colors come to be. Let's get into it. So the first thing we got to discuss is that each chicken lays a single egg color. The shade can change over the laying period. For example, these are two eggs that came from the same girl, and you can see that the shades are slightly different. It may be hard to pick up on the camera, but this one's a little brighter in person, this one a little duller. And that can change over the course of the laying period, but a hen won't go from laying a brown egg like this to a green egg like this or a blue egg like this. If she lays a brown egg, and specifically a dark brown egg, it is usually going to be a dark brown egg. Now, like I said, it could get lighter or darker depending on where they're at in the laying cycle. Usually it starts off dark and then lightens up, but the egg color is never going to change from one color to a different color. And let's talk a little bit about why that is. So, each chicken either has a white egg laying gene or a blue egg laying gene, and that's the base. Every single chicken is either going to get the genes to lay a white egg or a blue egg. It gets a little complicated and a little mathematical and sciencey when you really get into it, because they get genes from their dad and their mom, so there can be a combination of these genes. It's not just a single gene. But the outlying characteristic is either going to be a white egg or a blue egg base. So you may be wondering, well, if that's the case, how do we get all these different colors? So let's get into that. Now, if a hen has a white egg laying base, it can lay a variety of colors. So all of these hens have the white egg laying base. And what happens is, one of the last steps in the egg laying process, if they're a brown egg layer, is to add a pigment onto the shell of the egg, onto the base of the white egg. Now, how much pigment and the thickness and the darkness of the pigment depends on the chicken itself and the breed of the chicken. Now, each breed has a relatively similar egg, but each egg is highly independent to the actual hen itself. So, for example, these two eggs right here came from the same girl. This is our light Brahma, and you can see they're about mid-tone. These two came from our golden cuckoo Morans, which Morans typically lay darker eggs, and you can see these two are darker. And this one came from our Swedish flower, and this one from our salmon Faverel. So you can see Swedish flower is a cream close to a white color, so not a lot of pigment at all. Same thing with the salmon Faverel. It's a little bit more pigment, but it is still a light tan egg instead of a dark brown egg. And so each hen will apply a different amount of coloring. And so if they add a bunch and it's dark, it'll look something like this. And if it's not a lot at all, it'll be something like this, closer to a pale pigment. And you'll see it has freckles and colors like on it as well. And that just depends on how the individual hen puts that on there. And so, like I said, this is a white egg with the pigment added onto after it. And it goes from cream, which is just like an off-white color, to a dark brown color, depending on the amount of pigment. So, furthermore, to illustrate this point, here is a cracked dark brown egg. So you can see it's very dark brown. On the inside, you can see it's white, because that's the underlying color of the egg, is white, and then the pigment is overlaid on the top. So if you can see that edge, it goes from white, and there's a dark pigment on top. And that is how the brown eggs are laid. Which is super nice, because in brown eggs, you can see that there's a variation in color in just the brown spectrum that gives you a nice variety to your egg basket, anywhere from a little bit of off-white to very dark brown and every color in between. So if you're looking for a rainbow egg basket, brown egg layers are a great way to get that variety. Now, if you're interested in a rainbow egg basket, then you definitely want to consider some other egg layers that lay colored eggs. I'm talking blues or greens. So let's get into those ones and discuss a little bit about how those occur. Okay, so here are our blues and greens. So, as I discussed previously, each hen either has a base blue or a base white. So with the brown eggs, all of them are base white. With these eggs, all of them are base blue. So this is the bluest egg that we have right here. This is from our steel egger, Edith. And as you can see, it's a nice bright blue color. It's really challenging to capture the true beauty on video or on film. I've tried a bunch of different times in different lighting, and depending on the day and depending on the lighting, it'll be more blue or less blue. On a really cloudy day, we can get it nice and neon blue, but it's hard to capture on film. And then on a sunny day, it'll be a little bit more pale blue. It's one of those things that in person you just have to experience to see the true beauty of it, which, you know, never hurts. Get some blue chickens and get to experience that yourself. So just like the brown eggs, with the varying different shades. Same thing with the blue eggs. So you'll see, starts off, this is a bright blue egg to a green to an olive egg. And so the way that the green and the olives are accomplished is the same way as the brown eggs. So what happens is you take a chicken with a base blue laying and you cross them with a chicken that has the base white with the brown pigment. And so what that means is to get this light green, what you'll do is you cross a chicken with a blue egg with one that has a light cream egg. And if you're lucky enough, this is the key, they will inherit both the blue egg base and the brown pigment addition. And if you're lucky enough to do that, then you'll get a hen that has a base blue egg that then lays color on top of it, the brown pigment. And if it's a light one, it'll be light green like this. And if you take a blue egg and mix it with a dark brown egg layer like this, and they're lucky enough to inherit both, then you'll end up with a nice dark olive egg like this. And so just like the brown eggs, you can get a nice variety of colors by doing your crosses and getting with different levels of brown pigment. And that'll give you everything from blue all the way to olive. So that gives you a nice rainbow in that spectrum as well. Now, knowing that you can get all these different pigments just based on or different colors based on the pigment that's added, you can get a nice rainbow egg basket with just 7 to 8 hens, where if you have a white egg layer, tan, a medium brown, dark brown, blue, light green, and olive green, you can get a nice variety just like we have here with not too many girls, which is good for people that have a small backyard flock. You can still end up with a very pretty egg basket like this. Sorry, I forgot to mention, I should show you. Just like with the brown egg, where I showed you the base is white, with this olive egg here, it's hard to tell, but you can see that's a blue base. Compare that to the brown egg, you can see it's blue on the inside instead of white. And then that pigment is added to the outside, which makes it a nice olive green. So dark brown, white base, dark green, blue base, pigment added on both of them. Okay, now, if you're really interested in rainbow egg colors, then we can go down the rabbit hole even further. And you can search for chickens that lay heavy bloom. And so the bloom is a protective layer that's added to the egg just before it's laid. And the purpose of that is when it's laid, it protects bacteria from getting into the egg when the chick is growing and developing inside the egg to keep it safe, and so it hatches without any issues. Like I said, this is added at the end of the laying process. And just like the variations in the browns, each chicken is going to add a different level of bloom. And depending on how thickly they apply it, it can greatly alter the appearance of the egg. Now, if you're wondering if your eggs have a bloom on it, if you bought it from the supermarket in the US, they don't because they've been washed off. But if you buy some farm fresh eggs, you may be wondering if you don't know if they washed it or not. And a way you can tell is, so for example, these two eggs, like I said, laid by the same hen, but they look vastly different because this one has a heavier bloom on it. And you'll see if you wet your finger and you draw a line, you can see that's the true color underneath. You can see there's the bloom, there's the color, and the difference on these eggs. And the reason that's important is if you get a brown egg layer, you can see this one is super pink looking, but that's only due to the bloom. If you rub your finger on here, take away the bloom, you'll see underneath it is just a brown egg. What it is there's an illusion with the white on top of the brown, which your eyes perceive it as pink. So it looks nice and bright and pink in this egg basket, especially next to the blues and the other colors, and that gives you a nice pink. Now, that's the bloom applied to a medium brown egg. That same bloom was applied to a dark brown egg, you would get a purple looking egg. Or if it was applied to an olive egg, you would get a grayish color egg. So as you can see with the bloom, just like with the brown pigment, the different levels and on the different bases will give you a bunch of variety of different colors. And that'll help you get all these different hues within the same colors. So if you had a tan egg and a tan egg with a bloom, now you have a tan egg and a pink egg. And since this bloom is highly individual to each chicken, you can get a bunch of different colors just depending on the chickens that you have. With all the different egg colors, due to the chicken genetics and the bloom that they apply, collecting eggs like this every day is like Easter. I hope you learned something today that's going to inspire your own rainbow egg basket one day. And if so, comment below, give us a like, and let us know if you have any questions. Thank you so much, and until next time, stay Pyrfect.